Yes, that's right, a PSP game. Up until now, the capture device I've been using is one of those cheap generic convert your VHS tape to digital things. It only has composite and S-video options, limiting console connectivity and video quality. But no more. After much deliberation and hunting for a new device that has superior connection options, I chose the StarTech USB 2.0 HD PVR, which turned out to be completely incompatible with OBS. So I sent it back and did what I should have done in the first place, and went with a known capture device brand and bought the AverMedia Live Gamer Extreme. This accepts sexy component and HDMI, and you know, works. This is important for modern systems and also allowing for capture of PSP footage. Sony had the foresight to add component video output to the 2000 and 3000 model PSPs. Along with the HDMI connection means possible PS3 and PS4 reviews in the future. So that means improved gameplay footage quality and maybe the occasional 60 frames per second from here on out. Well, the first game I used the new device with was Shamu's Deep Sea Adventures, but let's pretend that game doesn't exist. Anyway, enough about the tech for now. Let's look at my first PSP game of choice, Exit. Released in 2006 by Taito and published by either Taito or Ubisoft depending on region, Exit is a 2.5D puzzle platformer starring Mr. Escape, a suave, mysterious freelance escapologist who will assist people in times of danger by helping them escape buildings under threat. Reminiscent of the classic step platformers of yore, such as Flashback and Prince of Persia, Exit requires careful footing and climbing as if in a real-world situation because fall damage will result in game over.
Let's go!
Each stage has Mr. Escape in a new building with a number of people to rescue and an exit to escort them to. The environment and the objects within are the logic puzzles, with different hazards to overcome. The first 10 stages are the tutorials, teaching you the basics, and introducing you to the 4 types of people you'll be rescuing: children, young people, adults, and patients, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, as does Mr. Escape himself.
Man, you saved me!
A combination of trial and error, careful planning, and just plain winging it is how to approach this. Each stage has a time limit which may put some people off, and kind of contradicts the careful planning part. But these limits always seem to be a fair length and never really becomes frustrating. Nothing visibly bad happens if the time runs out, just game over. Though I imagine the building and the occupants have succumbed to the threat it was under. Whatever city Exit takes place in must be incredibly unlucky. There are fires, earthquakes, mob involvement, and even meteors. But I guess this keeps Mr. Escape in business in some sinister way. For a successful rescue, Mr. Escape must locate all companions, as they're called, and approach them so they become active. Once they know help has arrived, they're up on their feet and ready to assist. This is where the more complex and unique mechanic of the game comes in. Companions are not the usual helpless puppies that will just simply follow Mr. Escape around. They will actually pull their weight and become part of the puzzle-solving process. The D-pad controls Mr. Escape, while the analog nub controls the cursor in which to issue commands. By using the triangle button, you can tell them to wait at a certain place, push boxes, activate buttons and levers, or collect items. A person can only hold one item at a time, and most have a one-time use: fire extinguishers, keys, planks, ropes and rope ladders, along with some multi-use items that are more specific to the stage, such as pickaxes, flashlights and spiked boots. Further adding to the puzzle element are the aforementioned companion abilities. Children aren't a great deal of use, but enough about my personal opinions. Climbing over and getting down from obstacles higher than one block requires adult assistance, but only they can crawl through tight gaps. Young people can climb and jump moderate gaps unassisted, but do need help with pushing heavy objects. Adults can only manage single block jumps and climbs, but are able to push heavy objects, even a huge safe, because fat people are strong people. All the adults are like this, I know it's for easy visual identification, but in the Exit universe I'm afraid you're doomed to obesity when you get older. There are 10 situations, each with 10 stages, making a nice orderly grid stage select. Each situation is preceded with a comic book style introduction with this rather ambiguous cat. Is it a symbol? Is it Mr. Escape's pet? Or could it be a persona as Mr. Escape sees himself? But when selecting the situations you can chase the cat around. Gotcha. Sorry. The situations are stage themes to go with their respective hazards. Situations like Burning Inferno, Dark Underground, Hospital Quake, and Frozen Hotel, which I call Frotel. The fourth companion type, Patients, only appear in the Hospital Quake stages. They need the most attention and are definitely the most useless. But they're not just a heavy lump to carry around, they do have a use.
Hold on.
There we go. Speaking of burdens, as any game, this is not without its niggles. Controlling the companion cursor is a tad awkward, but that's not Exit's fault. The PSP's analog number has always been a slightly thumb-cramping experience. My only real gripe with this game is the jumping. The stages are laid out in a grid format, so all platforms, gaps, objects, etc. adhere to this grid. I've explained the companion's limitations when negotiating this environment, but Mr. Escape can go a little further. To jump a single or double gap, press the direction to jump and press X to jump. Simple. If Mr. Escape walks too close to a long drop, he will stop, giving you a chance to correct yourself. But in order to do a running jump over larger gaps is vague at best. Holding R runs, so run towards the gap and press X at the ledge, right? Nope. Okay. With the grid in mind, press X as Mr. Escape crosses the last grid square, right? Nope. Oh, maybe it's like Tomb Raider and Mr. Escape will automatically jump when he reaches the ledge. Nope. Well, how about nope? Nope. Nope. Nope! The only way I could do this is wait until Mr. Escape is in full running animation and repeatedly tap the X button when he's roughly close to the ledge. Then he will finally do it. Most of the time.
Let's go.
There isn't really much of a story. It's as simple as bad thing is happening, Mr. Escape is hired to rescue people with no emergency services in sight. Maybe they're on their way, but Mr. Escape does mention that he gets paid for his services, which suggests that he was contacted in favour of the usual authorities. He's like a superhero. In fact, the more I think about it, this could easily be reskinned as a Batman puzzle game. The game already has a noir feel to it and there's always shit going down in Gotham. There's even an antagonist of sorts. Whenever Mr. Escape fails to save a companion from danger, we get a brief glimpse of Jet, Mr. Escape's rival.
They're safe now.
I suppose it's a good thing that companions never die, but he's using a jetpack and that's just cheating. So yeah, make Jet the Riddler and have it turn out he was behind all these elaborate puzzles after all. Oh, and make that cat I mentioned earlier Catwoman. Call it, say, Batman Tactics and you have a game with better brand recognition. But Exit doesn't need the Dark Knight for it to be a good game. It already is a very good game. I couldn't recommend this more. I'm a big fan of logic puzzles and this really gets the old grey matter working. Once you figure out the running jump, there really isn't any other faults I can find. This is fun, charming and challenging, the good kind of challenging. It never really gets frustrating, you can always start the stage over and over again to help figure it out, and finally figuring out a particularly hard puzzle is super satisfying. One last surprise, Exit has a network option. 100 stages sure is plenty, but how about 100 more? After a decade, the DLC page for additional stages is still active, and best of all, they're free. So give this a go, and when you're done, flip that WLAN switch on, get the DLC and have a go once more.